we also sort of pseudo pushed it into the Australian national homebrew competition as well.
Nice.
And a bunch of people didn't really like that, but it happened.
And once we're in, you can't get us out.
That's what I said. So yeah, so I'm also a the WA delegate for the AABA's the Australian Brewing Association, Homebrewers Association. So it allows me to push that sort of stuff nationally as well. But I do mainly look after WA there. So over those 5 years, I was constantly entering meads and everything through the competitions. And now no one can enter a competition in that club with honey in it without thinking it's mine. So I've kind of stepped back and don't enter anymore. So whenever there's a honey one, it's like, sorry guys, not me, it's someone else this time. So yeah, but do generally I'm still involved heavily in the club, even though I'm not on any position at all, really. But yeah, need to push mead and homebrew in Australia, and it's getting really, really big here in Australia. And it's actually we had a meeting last night and it was massive, the amount of people that were there. So with the club and being president and all that sort of stuff, and having the mead, next logical step was to start a meadery for some reason. And we ended up picking a name
because you didn't really want to make money or anything, right?
Pay cut by half. So because my normal work is in information technology, so yeah. Because
I'm pretty sure that may be one of the almost required things. So many of us were in IT at one point or another.
Yeah. So I worked for one of the big four banks for a while there, and currently working for a mining company. So, but also doing my meat on the sides for the moment. Moonlighting, some would say. And basically, yeah. So we chose a name, bought the domain name, bought all that sort of stuff, and then proceeded to change that name because I didn't like it. And then. As I've written to you about the history of erosion mead, we were talking about how mead is coming out of the history and eroding and that sort of stuff with a bunch of friends. Oh, just so you're aware, this is a load of crap. This is just a story I made up. And that's how the name erosion come up. It wasn't the fact that I was watching National Geographic and they were talking about erosion from sand. But yeah, it was. That's pretty much how I come up with the name, and then we just push it from there. And we, because we're so involved with all the home brewing and as part of the brewing industry in WA, I've got a bunch of friends. One of them particularly Artisan Brewing. Brian, who is owner of Artisan, or a brewer of Artisan. They're gypsy brewers, I guess you could say, or contract brewers out of Denmark, which is 5 hours south from where I am. So a nice drive.
Oh, so just up the road. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
I was going to say, where y'all are, that's pretty much like a trip to the grocery store, right?
I've done day trips down south. Up. So, go down to the Margaret River region, have a few wines, then come back in a day. So, so it's only a 2-3 hour drive from where I am. So it's good fun. And so I went down there, and we brewed 1,000 litre batch of a braggot that we collaborated on, which in turn turned out to be Erosion Beer Meal, which is it was Abbey Ale yeast. 90 kilos of wildflower honey that was, I believe, cold filtered. It was fantastic honey either way, from White Hive Honey down in Denmark. So local honey to the area, and nice. We proceeded to clog every pump in that brewery.
we're planning on the whole honey being thicker thing, huh?
Yeah, but we were also planning on the heat to make it thinner. But yeah.
Oh dear.
So so we worked out that. We worked out where the mash level could be in the mash tun, which was definitely higher than where we were, and for the probes, and also the pumps like to get clogged with honey. So, and it ended up being one of the their best sellers on the Fremantle Beer Fest's weekend. So they had their Autumn Blonde, which was number 1, and then ours, the collaboration, which was number 2. And it was awesome fun. I love working with those guys. We also did they had a Belgian beer masterclass at one of the local pubs in Perth. Ooh. And the pub then gave me I think it was 13 days to knock out some session meads.
Oh my gosh. No pressure.
I managed
or anything.
it. Wow. I managed it. They weren't necessarily the most prettiest of meads. They tasted amazing though. So because we had a 3.5%. Yeah, we had a 3.5% Mallee hopped honey. So a hopped mead, session mead with Mallee honey. And I'm pretty sure it's either Galaxy or Mosaic. I can't remember at the time. Actually, I got the recipe there. It's Mosaic. So, and then also a Belgian, just a straight 3.8% Mallee session mead with Belgian yeast. I tend to like the Belgians for making session meads. They add some phenolics and esters that just help push sessions just that little bit over, so you're not getting a thin-bodied, unappealing drink. So, yeah, that's pretty much that in a nutshell. Anytime I can, I push mead. It doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing. I'm pushing it, someone's hand, or I'm talking about how mead can pretty much.
Oh, somebody's got mowing.
Yep, that's me. I was there for a little while.
That close to the
Sorry.
So it's mowing time for y'all. It's quiet here because it's coming on 10 o'clock. But so did you? Do you guys have a tasting room?
No. So we're technically will be still in the startup phase. So we've managed to do the collaboration under other people's licenses for the time being. So we're still working on our license with our local council where we want to be to sort out a production facility. And luckily where we are, the licensing laws allow us to have a tasting room in the vicinity, so not in the same building. We can have it elsewhere. So but as long as it's within the same suburb.
Okay. That's cool.
And I'm pretty sure that's across Australia. I don't know if it's just WA, but I know that you'll have wineries in Margaret River that are they're quite far spread apart, but they'll have a tasting room in the city, in the town centre.
Yeah, there's quite a few meaderies that do that here. I was at Charm City Meadworks this weekend in Baltimore, and their production facility is out in one part of the city, and then the tasting room is in another part of the city. So that's fairly common. Ken Schramm does the same thing. His production facility is not in the same building, or it's out on the edge of town where the tasting room is right on the main drag.
I have to look at that. I think Canada, we are stuck with having our tasting room in the same place we make the stuff.
Along with the whole you must field $1 million thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm so lucky we don't have that. I mean, funny enough, the place where I live now, when I used to just homebrew my meads and that, I used to get it from a local apiarist, which is about probably less than a couple hundred metres from where I actually live now. I never knew it at the time that I was going to live here. But he since has stopped doing that. But there's still very, very local apiarists around, and the types of honeys we get here are amazing. Like one of my favourites is red gum or wandu. It's a type of eucalypt, and I get massive orange notes from that when I'm making a mead, or even once it's fermented out.
So, yeah, I get a lot of apple from it as well during ferment.
I think. Do you get the wandu one? Because I know that there's different red gums across Australia.
Well, yeah, so, river red gum from Victoria.
yeah, so that's completely different again. So I love the fact that Australia has the same trees, but completely different. So
genetically identical, but very different.
Yeah, very different. So, as I said, we want to use Jarrah, and that's going to be the most expensive meat that I think we'll ever make.
Won't it?
Yeah, but that has a similar character. I want to say characteristic to leatherwood, but not. It's a very strong. It's hard to explain without you tasting them side by side. It's definitely very strong in taste and flavor. So
that's kind of that sounds like that's kind of y'all's meadow foam. It's the elusive unicorn meat or unicorn honey.
It's definitely elusive. Apparently, they only like the areas where the trees are, because it's all down south from where I am. These trees, so all the jarrah trees, and there's carry trees and marri trees. So all these different ones, they all their flowering seasons are like 4 years apart and things like that. And so they only get a run of like a flow of honey every now and then. But apparently last year, I think it was carry trees in Pemberton were just for the whole year in flower.
Wow.
Wow. So that they were getting like 200 kilos a hive of honey. I don't know what that is in gallons.
You knew the math.
A crap load of honey.
A metric butt ton. That's an actual unit of measurement.
a butt load, I believe it is. Yes.
Yeah. About a quarter ton, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were getting heaps and heaps of that type of honey, and they were getting it multiple times throughout the year.
Nice.
So. Yeah, and I think being in WA as well, because we have less of the diseases and things where we are. I mean, if I wanted to buy in honey from any other state in Australia, I actually have to have it pasteurised before it comes into WA. It has to be 60 degrees for 8 hours.
Wow.
The correct temperature. So.
No thanks.
Yes. Yeah, so unfortunately, if I wanted to use a nice raw honey, I'd have to move states. So I can use the local stuff, and we definitely have some of the largest producers of honey in, I guess, Australia and WA, that we can have access to. I don't necessarily want to use that honey. I won't go into it, but yeah, there's lots of issues with honey in Australia at the moment. So there's particularly Save the Bees on Facebook has a lot of information about how there's Chinese honey coming in and being blended.
Oh yeah, we have that same problem here. It took them a while to get it under control, if even they have, really.
Yeah, so we're managing that. So I'm just going to local producers, and I've also done talks at the local APRA society here, so they're aware of me. I do want to do a training course there soon on how to make mead and best ways to do it, what honeys to use, that sort of stuff within WA. I do that for the homebrew club, and yeah, anybody pretty much asks me, I'll tell them what my recipes and whatever else. So pretty open about all that sort of stuff.
That's cool though, because you're getting the APRIS to be aware that there are people who will buy large quantities of their honey.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I know that there's two different prices in WA, and they're about 50% different.
Oh yeah.
So there's one price for the large honey supplier, and I have had honeys at that price as well. But there's also, the APRIS aren't getting much money out of that. So
yeah,
it's more about being the little guy rather than the big guy here. So I think my next goal is to help push all the local brewers to start using honey. As much as they hate me talking to them about it, they will do it whether they like it or not. So, yeah.
Well, if you're coming to them and you want to buy 55-gallon drums, they're going to talk to you.
Yeah.
But there was a bit of a surge about 5 years ago in honey beers, but that seems to have petered off, hasn't it?
Yeah, I did see a couple there, but they weren't using enough honey.
No, they weren't.
I know there's obviously been a few commercial braggots out there, which is great. It helps put out. I guess it's a starter mead for everyone who's used to the craft beer world. So I think that's the best way to target it in Australia. Is target the craft beer people, and then and home brewers in the same side. But I know that they're not necessarily the ones that always buy it. But yeah, if you target the craft beer market and cider and craft, like there's a whole new bunch of petulant natural wines that are being made around Australia.